the record button. And hello, welcome everyone to the Coffee with the CEO and CTO session. Today, we are very happy to have here Joana and Gonçalo from Clynx, and they are working on very interesting physiotherapy solutions that can be used in clinical settings at healthcare providers, as well as what I understood in home settings, which is, I think, very good here in the times of COVID-19, where maybe hospitals themselves are overridden by COVID-19 patients. But physiotherapy is needed all year round. And in that sense, it's very nice to see innovations happening in this space. And even though we are dialing today into Portugal, where Joana and Gonçalo currently are working, I'm sure that this is something that the whole Europe could benefit from. But without any further ado, I would be very happy to give this floor to them. In a few, I see that few last people are joining in. Just a quick rules of the game for today. So in the beginning, Joana and Gonçalo are going to give a bit of presentation to understand what they are working on. And then later, that's everybody, you dialing in today, you have wonderful opportunity to ask questions directly from the founders. What are the challenges? What is the advice for you if you're building your own startup or thinking of building it, or some other interesting questions? So don't, please, I mean, it's like they don't bite. I don't bite either. So don't be shy. This is your great opportunity to ask us questions. But now I give the floor to Joana and Gonçalo. Let me stop your sharing, and floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you a lot, Timo, for your kind introduction. So I'm sure we've all heard a lot during the last year about the importance of digitization and bringing more home-based treatments to healthcare. So we are very glad, me and Gonçalo, to be here presenting for you today about our business at Clynx. So basically, we started working at and co-founded Clynx a couple of years ago, and our mission is very simple. We are making physiotherapy an enjoyable and motivating treatment for patients, but also bringing a more analytical capacity to the physiotherapists. But how do we do this? We are doing this through our first product, that is Modify Plus, and with this, we are enabling a gamified approach for physiotherapy sessions, which are what makes the treatment really much more motivating for patients. So we bring this digital and gamified approach for physiotherapy, and the best part is that the solution can be used both in the clinic and also in home-based treatments. So the first component that makes this possible is this motion sensor camera that we use. It has one depth sensor that allows us to track the movements of the patients throughout their sessions. So we are bringing this analytical part to the treatment. Then this single camera is connected to the computer where our gamified exercises are running. So basically the patient is exercising, they are performing the clinical exercises that are prescribed by their physiotherapists, but they do this while they are interacting with dynamic gamified environments with a set of gamified elements that make the experience really much more interactive and dynamic. The session becomes nearly fun, so this is our goal, to make the treatment more motivating for patients. And finally, the last really important component of our solution is the online portal. It is where the physiotherapists can fully design the treatment plan for each of their patients. They can select exercises, they can tune the treatment, the exercising parameters, and they of course can track the progress of their patients in each session and also throughout the treatment. And now I will pass the word to my colleague Gonçalo that will show this a bit further.
Yeah, so hello everyone. So I have here a small video just demonstrating our solution. So I do apologize because the video is it doesn't have sound, but the subtitles are in Portuguese, but I will explain everything. So here, let's first talk about like our portal itself. So this is where, as Joana said, the physiotherapist can select the number of exercises. We have currently two sets of exercise. So we have for the upper limb, namely the shoulder, and also for the lower limb, namely the knee and the hip. So for every exercise, we can then customize so the difficulty, which allows the same exercise to be used in different contexts, and the number of repetitions, the number of sets. So every exercise and every treatment plan is customized to fit the patient's needs. And then regarding our application, so this is where the user interacts with our solution. So this is the part where that it can be used both at clinic and at home. We can see here that the user just has to log in, and then he can see all the exercises that he has to do. In this case, so we can see here, so this is what the camera can see. It's a silhouette of the person, of the patient, and we have a small calibration here just to make sure that the camera is picking everything correctly. And then, so the movement that the person does here is the movement that the avatar will do. So the person is, or the patient is remotely controlling an avatar in order to fulfill some objectives in game. So every exercise we can see here we just have to unveil this image by cleaning the window. So every exercise that we do have a specific scenario to it. Okay, so a specific objective. All of them have some elements in common, as for example the star system to keep track of the patient's performance. We also have a bar indicating, we can see here on the side, we also have a bar indicating the amplitude of the movement. And we also have here, so this is now some lower limb. So we can see here, we have the computer running the application. We have, I hope you can see here, the camera, which is what detects the user, and also just a TV just to make everything more comfortable. So yeah, all the exercises here have different objectives. We make them specifically to target the motivation of the patient and the engagement when performing these exercises. So I don't know if any of you ever did physiotherapy, but performing your exercise at home can be very boring once the treatment goes on. So this is another way you can do it, hopefully a better way. So regarding all the exercises, so we despite the fact that they are being we have for lower limb and upper limb, but we also have some exercises that are more functional, as this one is, and other ones that are more simple. So exercise that by functional I mean exercise that you usually do a movement that you do in real life, for example, opening a door or grabbing something from a shelf. And here, so now we're back to the portal. So here we can see once again all the information that we got from the patient performing the session. So namely amplitude over time, number of repetitions, number of sets, so total duration, and also we have some information regarding progression. So we have a system to measure progression in terms of maximum amplitude in certain movements. So this is something that the patient doesn't have in conventional physiotherapy. So they know they are getting better because they can move better, but this way they can know how much they're getting better each time. Yes, and okay, Joana.
Thank you. Okay, but why is this so important? Okay, but why is this so important? In fact, very recently, the World Health Organization estimated that 1 in each 3 people of us here living in the world should be undergoing a rehabilitation treatment. And it is due to several factors. Firstly, to the aging of the population, also to the increasingly unhealthy and really fast lifestyles that we live today. And also COVID-19 has come to make this worse. So the market is really huge, and as we all know here, the healthcare market is increasingly adopting strategies to bring more digitization, home-based care treatments, and make treatments more satisfying for patients. So it is with these goals in mind that there are more and more efforts in both academia and in businesses. So we have some competitors, of course, but what really distinguishes from the competitors' products is that we use one only of the body sensor that we showed you. This is really important to make the experience more user-friendly for the patient. It is more simple to use than instead of using multiple wearable sensors, for example. And also it is less time consuming for physiotherapists, which is really important in the clinical settings. Also, of course, our gamified approach is what makes our solution unique, and it is our great effort to make that we use to make the treatment experience more motivating for patients. So we, on a business side of the topic, we use subscription-based models. So our clients are clinics. And to give you a little context about where we are now, we are at the beginning of the growth phase here in Portugal. We already have some customers in both the private and the public sector. Of course, more in the private sector. We have reached the point of 1,000 physiotherapy sessions using Modify Plus, and these sessions are being done both in the clinics and also at the patients' homes. Just to give you a brief overview, we'll give you some two use cases. This first one in a private clinic, it was really important because it proved that our first mission, that is making the physiotherapy treatment more motivating for patient, is being accomplished. So here patients reported an 80% improvement in their motivation, and this is really important because it came from a wide range of ages, from 13 to 70 years old. So we are extremely enthusiastic about this. And also, just a second use case of a hospital. Of a hospital that is using Modify Plus in the past months, precisely to cope with the COVID-19 outbreak. And this strategy that the hospital used is being very well succeeded, because most of the physiotherapy sessions are now being done with Modify Plus from home. So here the great majority of the sessions are being done at home. And the most important result that we are gathering is that 95% of these patients would advise a friend to use Modify Plus if they needed to. So this is a great indicator for us to know how well this solution is being embraced. Here we have some feedback that we have been collected from both physiotherapists and patients, which makes us really enthusiastic and encouraged, because patients confirm that they are feeling more motivated in their treatment, which is our goal. And also physiotherapists see that this digital solution is really important in making patients more active in their process of being treated. So this will have a positive impact in their clinical outcomes. At the moment, so until now, we have been growing just based on bootstrapping strategies. We have also received some supports from national and European entities. And we have also been working on some other products that are in our horizon to develop innovative products also in the healthcare field. And of course, we intend to use this development in new products to keep on innovating and keep on growing in the digital health area in order to grow in the next years, and we are still in Portugal, but our goal, of course, is taking Modify Plus beyond borders and keep on growing and making an impact in digital health. As you already understood, me and Gonçalo are running Clynx, and we also have a team working with us to make all this happen. I'm more responsible for the business and strategy side of the project, and Gonçalo is taking care of the technological and innovation of our products. And we are already taking a step forward in physiotherapy, but and we hope you are enjoying this talk and have lots of questions to ask us. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, thank you very much. Very exciting to hear. I took some notes, and something that popped to my head was when you were showing me like cleaning the window. It was like years ago when I saw the Karate Kid film, and how, you know, the guy had to paint the wall in order to become master in martial arts. That this is the same way, that you can maybe not move that well, but using Clynx, you can be also, if not the master in karate, then at least get back in shape after an accident. And that looks very cool. And what I understand from your solution, that it's also scalable, that right, previously, I'm not quite into, I mean, I don't know that much about physiotherapy, but I understand that previously you needed a human physiotherapist who would kind of supervise every session, but now basically they prescribe a digital script of exercises, and then the camera system and your system is kind of advising people what to do and if they're doing it well, right?
Yeah, so basically, speaking from personal experience, so we are not, or first, we are not planning on substituting the physiotherapist. Okay, so this is a project that is intended to help them manage the patients and improve the recovery times, for example. But on a personal level, so when I did physiotherapy, I usually had 1 or 2 sessions in person, and then I had to do some exercise at home just to keep me moving. But I always felt that like they were very demotivating. So with this, they can. So first of all, they can. I guess the main factor is they can do these exercises, but keep them motivated, and maybe they will even do them more times, which is always better. And also with this allows for the patients to sometimes do sessions at home. So as Joana said, so in this time, so people are getting more busier with their lives, and they have their time counted. So having to sometimes do a session at home can be very convenient. So they can do this using Modify Plus. Yeah.
And you mentioned that, like Gonçalo just now, that you had to do like physiotherapy before. So actually something I didn't maybe see in the presentation was, why did you started it? So it was like both of you previously experienced the pain in physiotherapy solution yourself, and then decided to kind of make your own sessions more motivating, and then of course helping. Well, I mean, one third of global population. That's like, wow, more than 2 billion people. That's quite something. So.
So yeah, unfortunately, that's not the reason we started this. Yeah, it would have been cool to be that reason, but it wasn't. So we started this as a simple project that we started while we were in college. So we started as 4, and we merely took this as a project, an innovation project that we used just to explore and develop our skills. But we soon began to realize that this may be a bigger problem than we thought it would be, and there were more people interested in this, so we took it to another level, and then, well, now we have Clynx.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I also didn't say this during the presentation, but I think it became clear now that we started out still as university students. So in fact, I was studying, we were both, all of the founders that we were for, were studying engineering in engineering courses. In my case, biomedical engineering, case of Gonçalo, electrical and computer engineering. So we were from different fields, but in the engineering field. Or we were very enthusiastic and looking forward to making an impactful project in the healthcare field, and we were started digging and found out this problem. And despite we didn't have a special personal cause, we soon became passionate about it, and that's why we began Clynx.
Wow, that sounds like a very exciting journey. Straight, basically ripped out of the school before the school ends already to run a startup. We have many other people in the room today. You have Gillian, Joanna, Robin, Miriam, George, Kristen, Milena, Nadia, and Sophia. And now it's time for you guys to open up and ask those questions that you they came up in your mind while hearing what Joana and Gonçalo are working on, that maybe they could help you to clarify. I see Gillian, maybe also in order to understand where you are coming from and your background, maybe you can quickly give your name and what are you currently working on, and then ask the question from Joana and Gonçalo. So first was Gillian, then Miriam, and Gillian, Kirsten, and Miriam.
Yeah, hi, how are you doing? I'm Gillian Berry. I'm actually on the alumni board here as well, but my background is in nursing, and nurse specialist of over 25, 26 years. And I would also have my own company, Biomedical Technologies, but I do work in the education sphere as well, in nurse education. So I suppose your application can have many different reasons or different indication. I obviously always think of, the wee fish when I think of what you're doing in terms of your camera and your operation, and Just Dance, if you've ever done it, it's very much very similar. Obviously you're looking at very different in terms of the muscles. So how much interaction have you had with patient groups and physiotherapists themselves?
Thank you, Gillian, for your question. Thank you a lot. Yes, actually, since the moment we started the project, we really soon understood that we needed to have contact with the physiotherapy community, especially with physiotherapists and patients, and also the doctors. Because, as I said earlier, we came from the engineering field. Despite I had experience in biomedical engineering and some contact with the health professionals, we really wanted to have a close contact with this community. So we started from the beginning of the project, having some validation meetings to understand what were their needs, what was missing, which kind of exercises would be more useful, which kind of physiotherapy problems were more common. And from the moment we started developing the product, we were always in close contact with these health professionals that were helping us validating if we were going in the right direction or not. And also we would point out for us new important topics that we should cover or new features. I'm recalling an example that is really important here in physiotherapy is that for example, in the shoulder physiotherapy, it is very common for the patients when they are feeling lots of pain that they start compensating in the posture. Their posture is not always correct. And the physiotherapists showed us this concern. They said, okay, but if you have a sensor, could you try and find when the patient is not performing the exercise correctly, when the posture is not correct? So we look into that concern that they showed us, and we found a way to detect when the patient is not performing the exercises correctly, so that we can give them feedback in real time in our application. And this is just an example, because even after we launched the product and now it is being used in the clinics and at home, so it's fully validated, but we keep on collecting lots of feedback from physiotherapists and from patients, always in order to keep the solution updated and with the best, and we try to collect the feedback to make it useful most of all.
Well, thank you so much, Gillian, for this question, and I hope you it was a good answer. I know in terms of validation and building the product, also Kirsten has a question, and she wants to know how did you decided to choose that particular camera for your motion tracking that you just kind of like selected?
Yes, so at first we were working with the Kinect camera, which was used as in a console as well. And moments after we started, I think it's not even a year after we started, I think they decided to discontinue that camera. So we went looking for, unfortunately now it's being brought back to life now, but now we're using this one. So we did some studies to see what camera could we use, because Kinect obviously wasn't the only one that was being in the market, and I guess the best the feature that is more important to us is obviously price, but most importantly the ability to detect movement, or to detect to have a depth sensor that can detect larger movements. So this camera, if I remember correctly, is able to detect some movements or persons at about like up to 4 meters or 5 meters, if I believe. And of course, there are some that are more precise in close range, but that was not important for us. What we wanted was something that we were able to detect the patient with and have an overall view of what the patient was doing, so we could calculate amplitudes and so on.
Well, very cool. And I can imagine that also, like, because you are developing the software that maybe currently using one, but later, you know, you can make it compatible also with other cameras that whatever there is on the market. So
yes, sure.
I can imagine that this kind of API integrations would be possible.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw also that Miriam had a question, so floor is yours.
Hi everybody. You can hear me. It's actually not a question, more so a comment from a patient's perspective, because my dad is actually using the Clynx solution, although he's based in Germany. Maybe one more, I say, like argument for this product is definitely that one thing that happens when a person has a stroke, or can happen, something that's actually quite common, is that the person loses a lot of motivation, personal motivation to practice. And nowadays there are many people that are very keen on technology, that just love technology, and that's the case with my dad. So he doesn't like to exercise. He never enjoyed exercising, right? Never in his life. But he does love technology. So this solution comes in very handy, because he finds it extremely fascinating that this computer is imitating his movements. And it has really been a game changer in his journey as a patient. Just a comment from my side.
Thank you for the feedback. Yeah,
thank you a lot.
We appreciate it. And hopefully we can improve the motivation at least.
Completely. It is really encouraging for us, and really what makes us more enthusiastic about is knowing that our mission in real life really does have this kind of impact. It's what moves us, so we are really grateful.
And I think the cool thing is that also in virtual reality, you can like combine the exercises, as you saw from the video, into something that maybe you can't do otherwise in real life, you know, especially now in the times of COVID-19, where everybody basically has to be confined in their room. But they can be like doing, I don't know, climbing the wall on the mountain, or doing some awesome things right there in the living room, thanks to this kind of technology. So that sounds
exactly. Yeah.
very fascinating. I see that also Mihea has a question for you. So floor is yours, Mihea.
Hello. Very nice presentation. Anyway, my mother needs to see this because she has an injury at the shoulder, and she's currently doing this kind of exercises, and I'm watching her how she's doing it, and that will be really helpful. So if you can ship that to Romania, then I'll be very good. Yeah. Now the question is, as a background, I'm a software developer. I'm doing data science tools. My question for you is, you mentioned that in your early stages, you were in constant feedback or in constant contact with the healthcare providers. And the question is, how did you know you make a good progress towards adoption? Like, I assume they were just giving you a lot of features to implement or having a lot of conversation. How did you know you are on a good track? Or yeah, apart from money, or did you receive money from the beginning, or how was that?
Hi, Mihne, and thank you a lot for your feedback. Of course, we can talk about your mother if she wants to trial it. We can find a way to do so. But regarding your question, and thank you a lot for it, that's a really interesting topic. That is, when we are trying to find features for a product, usually health professionals or anyone, any potential user, they will always give you lots of features or potential features that they would like to have in the product, but they are not always essential, especially in the really early stage that we really wanted just to have a minimum viable product, not a complete product. So it is really important to understand which features are really important and which are just some personal taste of that person. So we did not have magic formula to find out, but I guess maybe what we try to do is not doing things just because one person told us it was important, and maybe try and talk to many physiotherapists first and understand if that functionality would be really required and really useful in several cases. And also trying to, even if we understood that a certain feature would be relevant and important in the future, we try to always begin with the ones that would be more representative, so that when the ones that in the beginning would answer to more clinical contexts, because the healthcare providers have lots of clinical contexts. They all operate, they have some similarities, of course, but they also have some particularities. So I think we try to do so. Firstly, not implementing a feature just because one person told us to do so, try to gather more feedback, and also try to begin with the ones that were more representative. Thank you.
And just to add up, so you were wondering how do we know that if we were on the right track or not? And yeah, as Joana said, like it's very hard to know that in every early stage. But luckily, the first collaboration that we had was with a big private group here in Portugal. So even if we didn't know we were on the right track, at least we knew that we were building something that they would enjoy. So if everything went wrong, if we weren't able to use that in the rest of the clinics, at least we were able to use that there. So so we had that at least.
Thank you.
Awesome. And maybe a connected question that just popped in my head was, like, I understand that currently you are available for patients of certain clinics, and the software solution is in Portuguese. So I think, well, Portuguese market, it should be easy breezy. But for example, we have also a number of other countries here present in our call. Like, what are your expansion plans? So are you going to Germany? Are you going to Romania to help Mihail's mother? Or you're going through the Portuguese route, like directly to the big Brazilian market? So when like all our friends and ourselves can use your product across the globe? Because 1/3 of the global population, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's an interesting question, because yeah, that's true. We started with in the Portuguese market, which is a quite small market, but of course our goals in the next months are establishing and gathering more clients here. But we are already also taking steps to take Modified Plus beyond borders. We already have a version of the product in English, so it is available. So what we are doing now, that we are having some conversations and discussing with some clinical teams in several countries in Europe, is that we are making available our version in English for free trials first, and then of course it will be completely in our plans to start translating and making the product available in other languages too, because yeah, as you said, we understood the market is global and we want to take it where it is wanted. So we are completely open and actually have those goals in our roadmap, so that we can make Modified Plus available in more languages and more markets, and to everyone who wants to enjoy it. And we hope to do this in the following months.
Great. And I see, talking about English version, I see that Gillian from Ireland has probably a related question coming in.
No, well, kind of a couple of questions. So maybe I missed something. Are you under a medical device or an assisted tool, or how do you kind of, in terms of regulation, where are you on the market? And then in relation to data protection as well, is there any data taken, especially when you have cameras and you might have vulnerable groups and you might have children or elderly? Where are you in relation to that?
Yes, thank you, Gillian. Regarding the medical devices question, we don't recognize Modified Plus as a medical device, because we are not invasive, as you saw, and also we are not doing diagnosis in any part of the process. So we are just a complementary tool. So we are beginning with no regulatory concerning medical devices. The second question regarding GDPR, we are taking all the steps related with that, making everything we are compliant with GDPR. The camera that we use, as we saw, we are not collecting real images of the patient or of the patient's homes, which is a common concern that could arise, but we are not taking those real images. We are just taking the depth image that is not the real, that is not about the real context settings. So we are compliant with GDPR.
Yeah, and so even though we're only like the only feedback or only visual keys that we have are the depth sensor, the data from the depth sensor, so that doesn't go anywhere. So the only thing that we send through to our web portal is the actual amplitudes of the movement. So so the depth data is, I think it's impossible to identify a person using only its depth data, but we take it a step further, and then we only send the amplitude, so the angles, the values, the repetition. So it's completely anonymous. So yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else in the room has questions? That's a great time to ask. George, Nadia, Maria, for example. If you have something, feel free to raise your hand and let us know. Otherwise, I was even thinking, like, like just like popping in my head that how cool that, I mean, you're kind of like building it's like this kind of virtual world that currently like people are exercising alone, but probably I can imagine that your software in the future could maybe even like blend the like virtual group therapy session where different patients, if they know each other, they could do like a multiplayer game that, you know, I don't know, virtual whatever. I think the guy was playing football, like playing the football in the living room using this software, for example, because I think like some of the people who are requiring rehabilitation, they can be also sportsmen. I mean, what I've heard that, you know, they kind of injure during the extreme sport or sessions and then have hard time maybe getting them back on track. That I think a lot of interesting opportunities.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea. Maybe in the next future, not in a so near future, but yeah. And yeah, regarding that last question or last thing that you said about sportsmen. So yeah, so the exercise that we have for the knee and for the hip are, some of them are related to actual sports, so soccer, like you said. And we do know that's a big market because usually that type of physiotherapy is very technical, and so sometimes there's a lot of money involved in it because people are so sometimes are very big injuries and require some big procedures. But we also want to slowly get into that part. Right now we are more focused on some everyday physiotherapy and not very specialized in high performance athletes. But yeah, that's definitely a future goal.
And I see that in the discussion box, also George has mentioned that neurology has potential linking up your activities as well. So plenty of things ahead. We still have some minutes for the questions. So if anybody has a question, feel free to let us know. Don't be shy.
I have
we don't
another one.
bite. Okay, Gillian.
I have plenty. And I think that George has brought up neurology, and I think he's absolutely right in terms of neurology. There's a lot of areas that there's unmet needs, including the long COVID. There's a lot of, you know, issues with people where they will have a dissociation going forward, a little bit like MCAS and chronic fatigue syndrome and that. So just from that perspective, is there any areas, have you looked at any neurological patients before? Have you done any testing? Are you looking at evidence-based, or is it just the physiotherapists that is pushing in the programs for the, I suppose, for the exercises?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We know that there's that interest in the field of neurology with this usage, and we also try to take some steps in that direction. Although we're more focused, like you said, in more physical physiotherapy. But the exercise that we do, some of them, from the fact that they have the physical, so they have the physical component of, they have the objective component of the exercise. They also have some coordination factors. So, for example, we do have exercise in which the patient has to follow a pendulum with his arm. So in that exercise, they first have to make the movement, and they also have to have the required coordination, or not necessary, but it obviously increases their performance, the required coordination to follow the pendulum at the exact time. And that is something that we know that there's a lot of interest, and it's something that we have been exploring in the past years. So hopefully, yes, we can address those problems in the future.
And you have to be careful as well, because someone with hypermobility, then the extension can dislocate. So I suppose you might have to do them in certain patient groups. But if you're willing, I wouldn't mind trying it out anyway and seeing, you know, can I help you with a certain cohort?
Yeah, that would
That's
be awesome.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And talking about help, like as we have a bunch of people dialing in today across Europe, if there's something that you're currently like looking for from the community that they could and we as a community could help you, that I understand that you are already like charging the clinics and the revenue is coming in, but do you look for extra investments, or do you look for further clinics across Europe that maybe some of our guests, I mean, participants today could help you out? Or if somebody is watching this as a recording on a YouTube in the next weeks and months, is there something that if they like your idea and they want to support this, what's the best way of supporting you in order to kind of really scale it into a global venture?
Yeah, definitely. We are really looking forward to having more contacts across Europe. So any bridge that anyone in the audience or that yourself here can make between us and some clinics in any country in Europe, we are really looking forward to it, because as I said, our English version is ready, and we are aiming to take it beyond borders. So that's a great thing. Of course, financial support and investment could also be another great opportunity that we are looking forward from in the following months. So I believe those two are the greatest supports that we could receive.
Great. So both in-kind connections and money most welcome to send towards you. In the meantime, if anyone still has a question that popped in your head and you haven't got the answer yet, and now it's great time to I see Mihail. Yes, you have a question.
Yeah, about helping you. Well, if I I can ask about like at some clinics, clinics that are doing this kind of physiotherapy. So if I can have something to show them, like with your presentation or like your some materials, yeah, I can just put in contact with them if they're interested. So I can, I'll be willing to help.
That's perfect, Minia. Thank you a lot. Of course, we usually send a booklet and some video to showcase to introduce Modify Plus. So so maybe I would ask you your email so we can keep in touch, and we are really grateful for this.
And I think it's really nice product.
Perfect.
So
thank you a lot.
I'll chat here my email. Okay.
Okay. Thank you a lot.
Really. Thanks.
And I see that also Nadia has posted a note for Joana and Gonçalo that she's very happy to help and has posted a LinkedIn link that how to reach out. Actually, what's the best? I mean, if maybe there are some more people who want to join in helping you, what's the best way to reach you? Like, should people kind of like hook up you on LinkedIn, or would they be sending you an email? What's the best way they can contact you?
Actually, both ways are perfect. We are very active in both LinkedIn and email, so we are glad if anyone is interested in contacting us in both ways. That's fine. Perfect.
Yeah, so we do have a website. It's at clynx.io in case you want to check it out. And yeah, like Joana said, LinkedIn or email. I can leave my email here as well. Feel free to reach.
Awesome. And Nadia, was it that correct that you raised the hand a moment ago? Would you like to add something, or?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Sorry. I tried to say over there. Great. Yeah, no, so in terms of the things that I could possibly help you with is positioning and for investors and a broader audience. And that's something that I work with. I myself have a medical research background, but over the last 10 years worked with the pharmaceutical sector, with provider market insight and business decision support to translational leaders. And now I'm specializing in helping innovators and entrepreneurs. So feel free to reach out. Appreciate you're an early stage. So I'm more than happy to see how we can work. Yeah, and also anyone else that's there. So feel free to have at least an initial conversation, at least getting to know each other. If I'm not the right person for you, I can connect you forward to somebody else, possibly.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nadia.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nadia. And yeah, as I think Madonna once said that, I mean, you can get anything you want, you just have to ask and shout it out. So maybe that's also sometimes when people are like, either two of you or anybody else in the audience, like if you are kind of like having some kind of struggle, like talk to people like, hey, I need this, I need that. And people like, oh, okay, cool, let me think about it and connect. And I think especially these days where the world is so interconnected, I think most of the people should be within the reach of maybe 2 or 3 connections, not, I mean, if not already connected to you. So it should be easy breezy. Does anyone, we are soon wrapping up, so I see that we are approaching the full hour, but I can still pick 1 or 2 the last questions if there are anyone in the audience. I saw Maria, you joined in a bit later. Do you have any question that you might got from the talk so far?
No, thanks. No question.
Okay, cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed the session. Well, I hope that it was useful for everybody involved. I see Miriam has raised a hand. Yeah.
I think she clapped.
Oh, this is a clap. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like I have plastic lights coming to my face to kind of lit me up, and then it's like sometimes harder to see my screen. But great. Well, I hope anyone, I mean, all people who joined in today and everybody also who is later watching it from our YouTube recording has been enjoying this session. And I hope that it was, yeah, useful for everyone dialing in. And I hope that if you're watching a replay, you also realize why it's a good idea to join in the right day, because you can ask the questions directly from the founders. For example, today you could have asked the questions from Joana and Gonçalo, but we have more coffee sessions with the CTO coming up, and in that sense, definitely you can like be there for next sessions in the future. And well, thank you so far. If you are not alumni member yet, just a quick reminder that you can also head to alumni.eithealth.eu and then click the join button and become one by saying that, hey, I participated in the coffee with the CTO and CEO session today with Joana and Gonçalo. And I don't know, any last words from Joana and Gonçalo for the audience joining in today and also watching you later in the next weeks and months on our YouTube channel?
I think we would just like to thank you again, and feel free to reach out in any other ways we said. So LinkedIn, website, email. We are very glad to be here with you today, and looking forward to speaking with anyone that wants to reach out.
Awesome. So Gonçalo, any last words from you?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, Timo, for the invite, obviously, and it was a pleasure being here presenting Clynx and hearing feedback from you. And yeah, thank you very much.
Well, with that, thank you everyone for joining in today. And now you can get up from the chair you have been sitting and do some physiotherapy exercise, and hopefully next time maybe there is even a special feature that after every long Zoom call you plug in Clynx and do some energizing movements in the very right way wherever you are dialing in from. So looking into having that kind of, when you have that feature, let's do another session, and then we can do a proper post Zoom debriefing physio session as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But thank you very much, and yeah, see you at the next event in the future.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Timo.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm going to do a quick hello, Timo, before you leave the meeting. How are you?
Great.
Have you stopped recording?